Have you ever thought to yourself, I wish I had more confidence? If that's you, then guess what? You've been lied to. You see, confidence has nothing to do with feeling ready and everything to do with actually trusting yourself enough to navigate through uncertain times. Your brain is wired for survival, not success and happiness. That's why every single time you try to do something new, you feel absolutely terrified. But you see, fear is a mile wide and an inch deep. It might look massive, but until you actually move through it, you realize just how small it is. You see, every single time I go and step on stage or even jump out of airplanes, my body says, do not do this. And it gets scared and I feel it contracting. But guess what? I do it anyway and I move through it, but what happens on the other side might completely shock you. So if you've ever wondered, how do I stay calm in a situation? How do I stop overthinking? Or how do I build real confidence? This is the exact blueprint on how. Confidence really comes down to just two things. Number one, complete and utter self-trust. And number two, the absence of fears, worries, doubts, and limiting beliefs. And to rewire your own self-trust really comes down to 4 steps. The first one is your past experiences. You see, our brain is a prediction machine. It is literally creating a reality in real time based off what we have had happen to us in the past, and we're trying to create expectations of it might happening again. Our own reality is actually completely distorted and it's not very true. So your self-image is going to take data from the past and it's going to say like, okay, what has this looked like for me in the past? This is why we start to have a lack of self-confidence when we're doing something new, because our brain can't get any data from doing it in the past yet because it hasn't happened. So what I do in moments like this, when I'm moving into a new period of something that I haven't done yet, I look for experiences of other people doing that successfully. If I can start to see other people that have already done it before me, it can start to increase my belief that it's also possible for me. But I also go back to the past and I think of times in my life where I've done something similar. I've had similar wins, similar accomplishments, other times where I've pushed past my zone of tolerance and I survived. And while I teach the next 3, I want to teach you in a real life example. 2 years ago, I went and became a skydiver, and I went out there and I started learning about the skill. Sure enough, they started showing me all the photos and the ways that you can die skydiving. And long story cut short, I kind of changed my mind. See, the next day, I was so petrified to actually go and do my first jump after doing all the theory, and I didn't want to jump. And what I did in the moment was, I was like, okay, how come I don't want to jump? And it came down to this exact thing. I didn't have the self-trust, and I didn't have the confidence to actually go ahead and do that. Because how could you ever have confidence for something like that? But what I knew is this: if I didn't go ahead and do it, not only would I not get the confidence from it, but it would actually create a negative effect on me, because next time I was up against something scary, I would bring evidence from the past of backing out when I should have just gone all in with that thing. And it would start to create a negative cycle and lower my self-trust and lower my self-confidence. So what I did was I got ready for skydiving and I went out into the field and I started to look at other people that were already successfully doing it. And I went back to my own past inventory and I was like, where have I done something scary before? And I remembered I've skydived before as a tandem. I've bungee jumped. I've started a business. I've spoken on stage, and I've done all these other crazy things and I've survived. So I started to stack this evidence from my past self. The next thing I done, which is the second step, I set an intention. You see, a lot of people go out there and they set gratitudes, or they'll set goals. And what was happening for me was my goal was to get it right. And I realized that fear and that representation of trying to get it perfect in the beginning was what was making me so unconfident to begin with. So instead of trying to set a goal and make it perfect for myself, what I did was I set an intention instead. Because goals, we can't always control that outcome. But an intention, that's my behavior. That's my attitude towards the thing that I'm doing. So I set the intention for the day. Instead of trying to get it perfect, my intention was, let's just go and have some fun. So once I switched from having a goal to having an intention, my body started to feel differently. I took the pressure off my shoulders to try and get this thing right. And the intention was just to have fun. Third step is the expectations. There was a book called The Expectation Effect, and it blew my freaking mind when I read this. And what they done in World War II is they ran out of morphine. So they gave saline to the soldiers and said, this will help you with the pain. And what they found was over 95% of soldiers who got just saline said that they couldn't feel any pain anymore. Because the same thing goes with the placebo effect. You see, whatever we think is about to happen, the expectations we think are about to happen, it has been shown through neuroscience studies that it literally changes the way our brain chemicals all go, and it changes how we perceive reality. So I checked in with myself and I asked, what sort of expectations have I got here? And of course, it has to be perfect. And I started visualizing all the worst outcome possible. I was visualizing knocking myself out unconscious on the way out. What if I hit the wing of the airplane? What if I forget to open the parachute? What if I open it and it gets all twisted? What if all these things? And I was having these crazy expectations and visualizations. and they weren't serving me. So I switched that and I set the expectation of exactly what I wanted to have happen. There's been studies done on the power of visualization. Let me give you an example. So they've done this study with basketballers and they put the team into 3 groups. The first group, they did no practice each day. They went home, no practice. The second group, they were told, you got to sit on the court and shoot perfect 3 throws all day long and practice for 8 hours a day. But the third group, you guys are going to sit on the court and be blindfolded and do nothing but visualize shooting perfect 3 throws every single day for the same time as the practice group. And you know what happened? Group 1 didn't really improve at all because they didn't do anything. Group 2 that actually did it improved their accuracy by 24%. But group 3 that did nothing but just visualize improved their accuracy by 23%. Nearly as good as the group that actually did the thing. And what has been shown is when we do this and we mentally rehearse the exact outcome we want, it starts to build neural pathways in our brain as if we've actually done it. So when the time comes for us to do that then behavior, it feels familiar and our body has a more sense of normality to it and we feel more confident than doing it. See, most people completely screw this up. They visualize the exact thing that they don't want to have happen. And they start to create neural pathways of the scary thing happening. And this is how they can go into their mind and create panic attacks and anxiety attacks and then convince themselves again, oh, but I'm just not confident. And it starts to create this crazy feedback loop of these crazy expectations and visualizations. And then their mind goes, well, that's just like what you've done in the past. And here's the past. And they start to create all of these pieces of evidence as to why they are just not a confident person. And that leads me to the 4th step. The 4th step is building evidence. So when I was out there and I was about to go skydiving, I started to look around me and I started to see other successful people that jumped before me. And I wanted to start to stack that in my head. I'm like, well, if they can do it, here's another successful person. They didn't die. They didn't die. They didn't die. They didn't die. And it started to build more confidence in my head that it was possible. You see, this one thing, if I could only teach one thing for the rest of my life that could make the biggest difference in human behavior, it's this. If you want to become more confident, you've got to develop more self-trust. If you want to develop more self-trust, if the only thing you did was start to stack evidence of becoming somebody who actually did shit that was hard, then you would accomplish your mission. The reason people have low confidence is because they have a library full of evidence of all these other times in the past where they just fell short and gave up, or they didn't keep their word. They said they'd get up at 6 o'clock and they didn't. They said they would train 5 days a week and they didn't. They said they'd follow a diet and they didn't. They would start a business and they didn't. They would do this and they didn't, because they think that no one else is going to know what happened. But guess what? You remember. If you can be a person of integrity to yourself, this is going to increase self-trust by a mile. If you have more self-trust that you are the person who does the thing you said you're going to do, when moments of uncertainty appear, you're going to have certainty within the chaos because you know that you can back yourself and trust yourself, ultimately becoming the most confident person in the room. So if you want to take this and start building this into your life, here's my challenge for you. Look at your life and start asking yourself, what are the things that I am avoiding doing? The reason you're probably avoiding doing them is because they're a little bit uncomfortable for you. What are the things that scare you? Is it skydiving? Is it starting a business? Is it having that hard conversation? What is it for you? The things that you're avoiding, if you start to actually just push through them and own these things, you're going to get to the other side of it, boost all these chemicals, get outside the zone of tolerance, into the fear zone, come back down and start stretching this gap. And ultimately, if you do this for 12 months, you're going to look yourself in the mirror and you won't even recognize the person who you've become. So to recap all of this, confidence isn't something that you become. Confidence isn't something that you feel. Confidence is a byproduct of absolute self-trust. And if you like this and you want to get more content so you can become the best person possible, hit the subscribe button and I'll see you on the next episode.